Hello everyone, happy Sunday. I know this update is long overdue. I think it's been over a month since I last recorded something, and um, there's few reasons actually. I think they're good reasons. One is I'm just extremely busy, extremely busy, and people constantly ask me like, "What are you busy about?" Well, just to go over what I do every day, my daily schedule. I wake up at 6 every morning and I do exercises for 2 hours. Um, yeah, 2 hours. And then 30 minutes of for showering and eating breakfast. And then I have to head out to go to neurofeedback. And there's a lot of there's a lot of things that have changed recently. Sorry if I'm bouncing around the place, but I'm just going to try to, I guess, update you guys as I tell the story instead of talking about each individual things. But so I would do 2 hours of exercises and then go to neurofeedback. And I have updated my neurofeedback from when I started neurofeedback. I was doing 3 sessions a week, so like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I increased it to, I think in the last update I told you guys I increased it to Monday to like 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And I noticed an increasingly good result from it, mainly because I think my brain is just so deeply structured already in old habits in the way that it's been for the past 30 years that you know once every other day just wasn't enough, because on the days that I take breaks I could feel my thoughts and the way I think just slowly going back to how it was. And yeah, I mean, it's so then I was doing that and it was great. But then the problem is I actually do eyes open neurofeedback and eyes closed neurofeedback. Um, just and the doctors told me how we discovered that I needed to do eyes closed neurofeedback, because most people don't need to. Is when we do recordings, when like every few sessions they would do a recording and kind of keep update of how your brain is doing. He's like, hey, like after like I believe like 30, 40, 50 sessions, he's like, your eyes open, because all we have done was eyes open neurofeedback. He's like, your eyes open has gotten a lot better. And I was like, but I don't feel that much better. I feel a little better, but and then he's like, yeah, well, I noticed during your eyes closed recordings, your brain is like, poo. And I think I talked about all this in the past, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but so eyes open neurofeedback and eyes closed neurofeedback give me different results. When I do eyes open neurofeedback, so because what I've been doing I would rotate. I would do like, one day I would do eyes open and another day I would do eyes closed, so I can fit both these trainings in. When on the days that I do eyes open, things are much more clear. I can see and think much better. On the days that I do eyes closed, I could relax. It's teaching my body how to relax, because I actually don't know how. Like through the years of having anxiety, I just kind of forgot, how to relax, and it's a skill I have to relearn. So I noticed that each neurofeedback give me a different result, and I need both of these in order to I need to think clearly and also need to be able to relax. So then I told him, hey, I don't want to sound crazy, but would it be okay for me to do double sessions? So I'm actually doing one session and then take like a couple minutes of break, 10 minutes break, and then do another session. So I literally been doing double sessions Monday through Friday, and that takes about 2 hours. And I head straight to school, and then during a break between the two classes that I have school, because I have a 3-hour break in between, I will go to my chiropractic neurologist to learn movements and things like that, to do eye trainings, to do relearning movements and things like that. And from there, and I go back to school, and by the time I get off, it's like 9 something. I go home, and I had to do a little bit more exercises. So it's a lot of hard work. I have put in hours every day just trying to get better. And I have good news. I am getting better. I'm definitely not there yet. I mean, I still have tension, twisting, spasming, everything, but I noticed little things that I can do now I wasn't able to do before. There's so many things, for example, but I'll just give one example because I don't want this video to go on for an extremely long time. And I remember when I do, I don't know if it's called a child pose or something in yoga, where you lay flat, face down, not flat, but you tug your legs in your body and then you stretch out your arms, like, and then you put your head down and you kind of just rest there. Um, in the past, I was never able to do it. I mean, I could do it, but what I do is I'm not relaxing. I'm holding on to every single piece of my muscle because, my whole body is tense, even though I'm holding that pose that seems like I'm relaxing. And because what happens is if I relax, my hip will start tilting like left and right, swinging. And eventually I will flop onto one side. I will literally just roll over. And since I've been doing, these relearning these movements and stuff and doing pelvic tilts and just all these exercises that seems very simple, but it's almost kind of like going back to the basics, like a baby relearning how to walk, learning how to move their arms again, move their legs again. I I was at the gym once and I was like, hey, let me just stretch. And I did that pose. And I just kind of lay there. Like I didn't have to I didn't have to tense all my muscles. My hip was much better, I mean, it still swings on bad days, but it's just these movements that I wasn't able to do before. I was never able to just sit here. Like, it sounds ridiculous. I can't sit here without holding on to something. My arms has to be either on the table or holding on to something to support myself. Otherwise, I will collapse. Because I don't know, like it just, like my pelvis and just couldn't support my torso. And I was able to, like a few weeks ago. And just these little changes that really, that that you're doing something right, and it keeps you going. So all these hard work, I don't complain, because if you don't put in the work, you're not gonna get what you want out of it. So yeah, and that's my update. I mean, there's so many things I could get into. If there's certain thing you guys want me to talk about, leave a comment and I'll talk about it, because there's just so much things, so much exercises, so much that it's impossible for me to, talk about everything. And so, yeah, if there's something you guys want to learn or know, just let me know. And I'm happy to talk about, what helped me. But I think I'm on the way to recovery, like even the chiropractic neurologist was telling me, like, you're getting better, even though sometimes I don't feel like I'm getting better. But I learned that I have to trust the professional, and when they're telling you you're getting better, you have to trust them. Because, like, this is what Dr. Farias, which I highly recommend, and I think I mentioned him in the previous videos, which I'll post his website again. I'll post his TED Talk again on dystonia. It's the program I've been following, and it's helped me tremendously. If you have dystonia, I would say don't look anywhere else. Like, this is the answer. Just go to his website, go to his program, be patient, check it out, do the exercises, and before you know it, you'll realize that, you're slowly getting better. But according, something he said is that, you have to trust the professionals when they tell you you're getting better, because a lot of times you don't feel like you are, because you're blinded by your own blindness. And that's kind of how I feel sometimes. Because of all my symptoms, I sometimes don't see that I'm getting better. And when people are telling me, like, you are, sometimes you just got to believe it, and you just got to keep on going. But yeah, I guess when I started talking about this platform, when I started talking on YouTube, it was a way for me to cope. But as I got, down the line, I wanted this platform to be something that I can reach out to other people that are going through similar situations. All my dear subscribers and people that have reached out and supported me. But I also want this platform to be something for people that are not going through this, but know someone that goes through this, or just simply to raise awareness, to erase the stigma towards, mental health, disabilities, just being plain human and being empathetic. Speaking of empathy, I actually recently learned something really, really cool. There's so many things I want to talk about. Sorry guys, I'm just like overwhelmed with all the new information, but I'm gonna keep it short. I think last time I talked about empathy, and I recently learned that, well, from my experience, I think one thing that has taught me is being more empathetic. I like so in one of my classes, there's a girl that she looks fine, but she has this table that's reserved for her, because sometimes she has to stand. And one of my classmates sat there by accident when she wasn't there. And I told him, I was like, hey, like, you can't sit there because, this table's reserved for blah, 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 the person. And he's like, excuse me, I mean, I'm disabled too. And I'm just like kind of being sarcastic, because she doesn't look like she's broken a leg or whatever, which is what the society thinks disability is. When you can see it, that's disability. And, and this is where my empathy came in, because I've gone through these situations and I'm like, no, not all disability is visible. You can't just judge by what you can see. I'm disabled. You can't see it. You can't tell at all. You think I'm a normal person. So I think a lot of us really needs to just be more educated and be more, be more educated, I guess. Be more empathetic, because people make it into a joke, like, oh, ha ha ha, she's blah blah blah, and that's not true. It's not a funny joke. It's not and the only reason I know is because I went through it, and I feel like it's in a way my job to kind of help other people understand that, just to help other people being able to put themselves in other people's shoes, and like sometimes I can't help but feel, and then actually last few days it kind of hit me again. I can't help but to feel lonely in this process that I'm going through, going to the doctor, doing exercises 3-4 hours a day. Yet everyone thinks I'm fine, It's an extremely lonely process, because as much as people want to understand, they don't. It's something that you kind of just have to go through to understand. But I think as a human, we can all try. Maybe not fully understand, but like the other day I was standing on BART. I can't stand for that long. I can't sit for that long. I mean, and I was standing in front of these disabled seats actually. I didn't want to sit there. I mean, obviously they were taken. I mean, I could ask someone to get up and say, hey, can I sit there? But I could just imagine what would happen if I asked. The judgments coming from everyone will probably be like, oh, this person looks fine. She's young. Why is she asking someone to get up from a disabled seat so that she could sit down? I mean, and granted, those people are not disabled. They're just sitting there, And so I didn't ask because, I didn't want to get judged. Because I know how people would think. And I think that's where kind of our society, and this is what I mean by I want to create this platform to, erase that stigma, that where people don't have to be, people don't just judge people by, how they look, or people don't have to feel ashamed to ask someone to get up because they feel like, oh, they don't look disabled or whatever. You should be able to. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up, because it's just a lot of emotions, that comes with this territory, I guess. But these are just little things I experience in life, in real life. And yeah, so I mean, there's more things I want to talk about. I kind of didn't organize my thoughts today. I just wanted to make sure I put something out so that you guys kind of just get an update on what's going on. But I'll try to update more frequent. This way I don't have so much things to talk about where it overwhelms me and I actually don't know what to talk about because there's just so many things. But yeah, I mean, I guess one last thing, and I talked to my dad's been extremely helpful lately. Just, I don't know if I mentioned, but I think I'm sure, in the previous episode I talked about opening up to my parents, and I wrote them a letter and told them what's going on in my life. And it feels great because now I don't have to hide. I don't have to live like almost a double life of what I was doing and then how I was in front of them, because I was spending so much time getting better that they're always wondering, like, why are you busy? What are you busy about? And it makes me look like a bad person, like, oh, I'm not spending time with them or this and that. But it also opened up a conversation for him and his friends. He told me, because he went through a period of what I went through when I first found out that I was sick, that I had dystonia. I looked everywhere for answers, because doctors told me there's no options. You kind of just, it is what it is. You have this for life. Hey. And my dad came up to me every time I saw him. He said something. He's like, hey, I talked to this doctor. They said you need, or I talked to this, my friend who's da 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 da. They say you need to do this and that. He went as far as saying, hey, I heard this, this great preacher, and whatever he prays becomes true. We should go there and we should have him pray for us. And I was just like, Dad, like, I'm sure that's not how faith works. You actually have to believe in it. You don't just ask for something because you think God's going to give you that. He went through the process of me, like, he was desperate to find answers for me because I'm his only daughter. And but I think after I reaffirmed him over and over, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing neurofeedback. I'm doing, these exercises. And there's nothing else better than what I'm already doing. You have to just trust me. And I think he eventually stopped looking. I think because he also probably exhausted his resources. But at the same time, he told me that, hey, I talked to my friends and, they said to meditate, and he's like, he went as far as saying that, sometimes I feel like I should do these things. I should meditate. And that's so great to hear him say that, because all my life he had the worst temper. And I knew that, like he needed to chill, he had his own mental issues that just wasn't as severe as, people that have mental disorders, but there's definitely things going on. And it kind of, my experience kind of opened the door for him, because he couldn't deny, because especially being a Chinese, and living in a Chinese background, I'm sure that mental health and things like that are just not real. And if I didn't get sick, if I didn't have dystonia and show symptoms physically, he would never ever believe there's such a thing as being depressed or having anxiety. It would just be like, oh, just get over it, blah, blah, blah. Now the fact is, like, I actually kind of, what I went through kind of forced that reality onto him. It forced him to realize that those things are real. And now that he's being more acceptable of these thoughts, and it's great because, I didn't think this day would be, I didn't think he would be someone that I can influence, and I didn't think my dad would be someone that would accept that I have anxiety and depression and these things are as real as if I had broken a leg. And these things can cause physical symptoms, you know. And now that he's more open to it, you know, I always tell him like, Dad, because he talks really loud. I was like, Dad, can you just not scream? Because every time you scream, it hurts my head. And now he realizes that it's true. And he actually, you know, lowers his voice and things like that. And people, I guess in real life, people don't realize everything affects you, subconsciously or consciously, you know. And yeah, so I don't have much to say, I guess, much more. Again, I'm gonna put the website of Dr. Farias and his TED Talk, the link, under my comment. And if you have dystonia, I really, really highly recommend you to check it out. You know, the longer you have dystonia, the harder it is to recover, unfortunately. But it doesn't mean you can't. It just means you have to put in even more work. So it's better to start than later, sooner than later, you know. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Okay, take care. Bye.